My name is Wellington Lima. I was born in Recife, Brazil. I am 31 years old, and right now I live in America for about 13 years. I started my career back in Recife, Brazil when I was about 11 to 12 years old, doing capoeira, a Brazilian martial art that I loved because there was a lot of creativity. When people were jumping, they were using the bodies in an amazing way, and I just wanted to jump like them. I did that for about 6 months, the capoeira when I began on the streets of Brazil. Then I say to myself, I want to be, get better at that. So that's when I started gymnastics. I did gymnastics for about 6 years. And after 6 years of practicing in the team over there, back in the northwest of Brazil, I did start doing trampoline. The trampoline was the part that I really identify myself with, because it has to do with the air, the idea of staying in the air, flying and get the height as high as you can, and then whenever you are there in the air, you have a moment that it frees your body, and there's like a silent moment over there, and that's an important moment where you can actually execute all the important elements when it's the top, we're in the top in the air. And I got fascinated by that, and I started doing that, and in 1997 I won the Brazilian championship of trampoline in the national team over there. And I moved from Recife, my hometown in the northwest of Brazil, to train in Rio de Janeiro at the end of 1997. After I won the nationals in 1997, by August of 1997, in November, December of that year, I moved to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to train with the national team. And the week that I arrived there at Rio, there was an audition for Cirque du Soleil that was happening in the National Cirque School. And I went there to see my friends being part of the event. I think it was very interesting. I didn't really have an idea what was Cirque du Soleil. I heard the name of it, but not really how big it was. So, as I went there to see the audition, people asked me to be part of it. And I was not really nervous, because I didn't see myself in being part of the cirque, being part of this team of creativity. And as soon as I did the audition, they invited me to be part of it. The audition was among 120 people that did part of the audition. They select only 4. So during those 4, they call me, and then I say no in the beginning, because I didn't see myself being part of the circus, idea of the circus. I didn't even imagine that. My general idea was to represent Brazil in a competition, an international competition. 3 or 4 months later, they call me again, and they say, look, this is a unique opportunity, and you come here to see us, and you see how you feel. So I signed a little contract of training, and in 1998, I talked to the president of the Confederation of Brazil, and he told me, listen, go there, try it for a little bit, and if it doesn't work, you're always gonna have a place here. I went there. I remember there was in May of 1998, and the plane was to come back to Brazil in July, so it was about 2 or 3 months. But I ended up staying there, and here I am 13 years later, living in America after travel all over the world, living my dream, helping people helping me, and being blessed. In 1998, when I came to Cirque, my first place was in Canada. I stayed there for about 4 or 5 months. It was a great place. Then I did the creation of La Nuba, one of the shows here in Orlando, Florida. And I came here, we did the show at Downtown Disney, and in 2000, I did the show until 2004. Then they called me to do another creation called Dralion. It was very interesting with Dralion because while I was in Dralion, I went back to Canada, which is a great place of creativity. Then there was a tour that toured Europe, Japan, and Australia. In Europe, I went to Spain, I went to Germany, I went to Switzerland, I went to Holland. It was great, it was great. And how the tour that I did in Australia was fantastic. In Japan, so many cultural things that I get to experience that if I would have to pay, it would be very expensive. So I was living a dream and I was getting paid for it. So at this moment I'm working in Las Vegas doing a show in tribute to Elvis. The show is called Viva Elvis. I've been working there for about a year already, and it's a very energetic show. It's a little bit different compared to the other shows that I've been with Cirque because it involves a lot of music, of course, from Elvis, and the aspects of over there is a little bit more natural. The makeup, I didn't have the transformation, the magic that I was, doing it with the other shows. But the good thing about that is that I play a very interesting part in the show. One of the parts is I play a superhero. Everyone has this idea of grow up and be a superhero one time in their life, and I remember trying to be one when I was a kid. And over there in the show, I have this opportunity. Elvis was inspired by a superhero, by comic books. If you guys remember when he has a cape, that was an idea, and the way he posed, all this karate and things like that was inspired by superheroes. So I play a very special part for that, and that's one of the main reasons I really like the show. It's difficult to say how I define creativity. I just believe that creative have to come from inside. There is a little fire inside of all of us, no matter what we do in life. There's things that inspire us, and if I would say how do I get in my inspiration to get creative, is to be spontaneous. One thing transforms to another. So that's creativity, is to be able to be open for different ideas to come into your life and be flexible to transform that. The advice that I would give for people that want to be creative is really to believe in themselves. It's for some people it's like following their dreams. It may be crazy for some people, but for others, the person that especially experiences the sense of creativity, they have to believe in that and follow the fire that I was mentioning before, and really go for it. There will be always people that are gonna be against you, no matter what you do in life, and you have to fight that and go for what you believe is right for you. That's what I did in my life. There was a lot of people that didn't believe in that I could be here today, and here I am. They are proud of me, and I'm proud of them too, for actually give me that challenge to believe in myself. And I'm so grateful that there was time in my life that people say, Wellington, it's gonna be very difficult, and it's very few people can make it. And I say, I want to be part of that few people. Where I grew up in Brazil, there was many challenges, and it was really interesting that every time I go there and I see my friends, and they are so happy for me because I went out of that challenge area. But I used to think when I was a kid that I didn't belong where I live. I had this dream of always doing something better and great somewhere, not where I came from. And I say challenge instead of difficulty, because in life there is always probation. You can choose, about choice. It all comes in the matter of choice. You have to follow what's inside of you and what's push you, and that's what I did. I really saw myself not in the area, not being part of the difficulty. Well, people were maybe, I had friends that were doing drugs and I was close to them, but I told myself, that's not who I am. That's not who I am. And sometime, instead of being there, I was doing some exercise. I was doing something to help me to, to be prepared for whenever there would be an opportunity, to be ready for it. That's exactly what happened. There was an opportunity for me to come here to America to join Cirque, but because I was ready for it, I was always training. People would go home, I would stay over, train extra. It was paid for, but with a lot of sweat. And I'm glad I'm here to tell the story, because I could. If someone asked me what would you be doing now if you were in Brazil, I like the idea of teaching. So I'll probably be a teacher now of ED, and physical education. But I don't know. Being an artist, what I am today, I can give so much to the world. I would be touching few people as a coach, but as an artist, I touch millions. I believe if you have to do a little bit more. If you only do until here, you're only gonna achieve until here. You have to go beyond that. You have to go on that line, because again, another opportunity can arrive, and if you're not ready, the train will pass by and not gonna catch you, because you only train limit. You cannot do only. I am an artist, but I try to get involved in other activities. Like I'm totally involved with capoeira. Capoeira is really part of my life. It's one of the way I breathe or I move for sure. But I go to school. I get involved with youth at risk. This is one of the big things for me. It's one way for me to never forget where I come from. And and helping people that need a little bit of guidance. Every time I go back to my place in Brazil, Recife, I visit the gym where I first started to train gymnastics. And I go there and I talk to my coach, and I have opportunity to help people every time I go there. Because if I made it, other people can make it. I believe in whatever you do in life, you have to work towards something that you're gonna touch people. With creativity, with acrobatics, or whatever you do, it's to touch people. One of the places that I feel great about it is the stage, because there is a spotlight for you to to have your little moment to touch the people. But one thing that is special about myself, if I could say, is that I take that stage everywhere in my life. I'm a performer even here. If I have opportunity, I'll do something funny face or something that will make people like, wow, this guy is funny. Actually, my nickname, I have a nickname. My nickname is Palhaçada, meaning clowning around. I like to play around and make people laugh a little bit. I think it's so important to have a little smile for life. A smile for life is one of my things. There is this peak of ecstasy that you do with what you have passion for, that everybody should experience. If not every day, once a week, once a month, but having that, because that's the fire for you to live life happily. Wellington Lima.